most recent that we see, which is the Denver Broncos, Drew Lock, first game, winning in a last-second field goal. And I think this was a terrible call. The pass interference was a non-call. Basically, the receiver for the Broncos jumped into the defensive back, and
I'm not
the
sure.
referee's bit on it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm not getting any viewers, so I fear that, well, Victor's here. Okay. I feared that there's this new thing on YouTube that restricts your video to 18 to kids that are under 18 years old. So I had a fear that I set it on that, but now people are rolling in, so it's good. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
I wanted to make sure we were live.
Our 18th birthday is coming up very soon, so you guys can log in without fear of repercussions, because our name is not Jeffrey Epstein.
All right.
Having said that,
let's talk about that Broncos-Chargers game. 50 minutes left for you guys that watching at home. 4th and 1 on the 30-yard line. The Broncos, what happens is the Broncos don't call a timeout. When the Chargers are lining up to kick a 46-yarder in Mile High, they had 50 seconds left. They let the Chargers wind the thing down to 9 seconds. They don't take a timeout because you know how quickly you could score in the NFL. You know how quickly you could score in the NFL. And the fact that Vic Fangio did not take that timeout, he's awful at clock management. And how many times are you going to see the Broncos get up and take a lead? The Broncos up 10-0, I think maybe 17-7 at one point. They are classic chokers when they have a lead.
And what did you think about Drew Lock today? Obviously started off strong with 2 touchdown passes, threw the interception, but overall had a good game and managed the game well at the end.
Clean game. Phillip Lindsay ran it, but Cortland Sutton's a big-time receiver. And Locke, you're seeing him actually have the ability to play at this level. You're seeing him hit throws, short throws across the middle of the field. And with the quarterbacks that are out there in the NFL, Drew Lock stacks up just fine. I thought he had a very good day. Very good day.
Absolutely. We have some, we've got people from all over. We got people from San Francisco, New York logging in here in Philly.
Yes.
And I can tell you the story about the Philadelphia Eagles is they are not dead yet, but they're in critical condition. They let a guy named Fitzpatrick, basically score 5 straight touchdowns against them. These are the hapless Dolphins that people thought were tanking. 5 straight touchdowns against the Philadelphia Eagles defense to lose 37-31. Now, let's just put this in perspective. The Dolphins haven't scored 37 points in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And this was supposed to be a must-win game for the Eagles, and Fitzpatrick just totally torched the Eagles, and it was just an inconsistent
Terrible
game.
defense.
There was also a play that I've never seen before. There is a punter throwing a shovel pass for a touchdown to a field goal kicker. So a punter, they were lined up in the craziest formation. The last time I saw this formation was when the Colts were lined up against the Patriots, where you had a center and a quarterback, and you had everybody else split wide. And the Eagles couldn't sack the punter. They couldn't figure it out. And it was just terrible. You saw that play. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it was a great play. The Eagles, they can't put together good football. You know, when their offense is bad, their defense plays great. When their offense plays decently well, like today, their defense was embarrassing. Doug Peterson's having a rough year. Not every year is going to be good. You know, the Eagles have been spoiled by success. Andy Reid was a great coach. You could then go to Doug Peterson. He wins the Super Bowl. You then win a playoff game the next year, and you're one possession away from going back to the NFC title game. So it's just natural progression. And also, you're paying a quarterback that's a game manager, that's a pretty mediocre quarterback in Carson Wentz, who's not having a terrific season, who's maybe the most overhyped player in the league. You're paying him the most money in the league, $35 million a pop every year for Carson Wentz. The rest of your roster is not good. There's no cornerbacks at all. And, the Eagles are disappointments, no doubt about it. They're fraudulent disappointments. I want to go ahead and talk about the disappointments. The Indianapolis Colts, how many people on here said, oh, Andrew Luck retired, Jacoby Brissett is going to be fine. Jacoby Brissett's the same as Andrew Luck. They let Ryan Tannehill come into their house and take a crap right on their damn heads. They let Mike Vrabel out-coach their ass today. The Andrew Luck retirement really destroyed the Indianapolis Colts. And if you're those fans, you watched your franchise blow up in smoke. You let the hapless Tennessee Titans come into your house. The Titans have lost 10 straight games to the Colts. I know I'm being harsh on the Tennessee Titans, but for all those people who said Brissett is equivalent to Andrew Luck, you're out of your minds and you're wrong. The Colts are going to miss the playoffs now. The Colts have a really good team. They're a quarterback away. And just such a disappointing loss today. They had a field goal blocked. For all the Andrew Luck people bashing Luck and comparing him to Brissett, this Colts team is average as dog piss. It is. Well, this was a team that was in the divisional round last year. Sorry.
There was a question about who will win the NFC East. It's clear to me that the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East just because they're the least worst of any of the teams. They are going to beat the Eagles at home here in Philly the last game, not because they're good, because the Eagles' defense is flawed. Their offense, no running game. Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey, had a bounce-back game, 130 yards. Ertz had a few catches. But, again, the running game was poor. Miles Sanders should be a lot better than that. And the defense, to let up, and this is the NFL, to let up 5 straight touchdowns to Fitzpatrick, who basically is a quarterback by default, a lifelong backup quarterback, just because Josh Rogan sucked totally, that somehow Fitzpatrick, 36 going on 50, and absolutely torched the Eagles. Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills, those guys were terrible. They couldn't cover their own shadow today, and the Dolphins were a dead team. And also, you look at the Eagles, 60% of the fans in Miami were Eagles fans, and they traveled all the way to look at that dreck to see their team lose 3 in a row and go to 5-7 on the year. And right now, I'm not a believer. I don't believe they're going to run the table and win 4 straight. I just think they're playing Monday Night Football against the Giants, and ironically, you watch a lot of Giants football.
Yeah.
What do you see next week? If you,
yeah,
I
want to bounce around the league.
Bounce.
I don't just want to talk about Eagles, Dolphins.
Well, we're talking NFC East just for a moment.
Yeah. I think that the Eagles will still find a way. The Giants.
Break down the
we
Giants.
Didn't break down that game. Daniel Jones, 3 interceptions, looked really bad throwing the ball in the cold. The defense today, Janoris Jenkins said that James Betcher will not even allow him to cover another wide receiver. In that Janoris Jenkins is not even allowed, here, bring the phone back. He's not even allowed to shadow Devontae Adams. He won't even be allowed to shadow. Just shows you how incompetent and how dumb James Betcher is at being a defensive coordinator. And he's one of the worst DCs ever. Pat Shurmur hired him. John Mara is paying him money to absolutely be awful. Dave Gettleman said that James Betcher is the right guy for the job. And James Betcher, the team is just every single week, it's losing football. It's disappointment after disappointment. And Daniel Jones is terrible. And, he had a really bad game.
How do you fix it?
And you know what? How do you fix the team? Well, it's
New coach?
New coach, same general manager. I think that the GM will get talent out of this defense. I think this defense still has talent. I think Barkley has talent. And Chase Young could be a really good player at defensive end for the Giants. And it's tough because, if Tua was medically healthy and I think Tua, if he's healthy, could be like a Russell Wilson.
But I think
so you would
Tua will be
upgrade
drafted.
over Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones has proven that he's a turnover machine. He has the most turnovers in the NFL. If you get a chance to draft a quarterback that's tremendous, you have to entertain that possibility. But I don't think it's going to happen. I'll take Chase Young as a defensive end. And you just have to build for the draft and be patient and go get Matt Rule from Baylor. That's what you have to do. You have to get another coach.
Okay, let's look at some other games.
Let's give a shout out to my friend Top Streams. He's one of my best friends on YouTube here, the Buffalo Bills. One of my favorite fan bases to talk about, Top Streams. And let's talk about the Bills right now. I wasn't able to do a video. I was away for a while, getting over a cold myself. The game from Buffalo, for Josh Allen to assert himself on a national stage like this and play such consistent football against a really good opponent. People said that the Bills were frauds, that their schedule was easy and soft. I can't remember a Bills convincing win like this that is more real. You could talk about the Tyrod Taylor playoff year, but they were 9-7 and they had some lucky breaks and they were kind of a fluke team. This 9-3 Bills team is not a fluke. And the Bills, this seems real. McDermott is real. Josh Allen is real. What I'm going to say about the Buffalo Bills that is very important is that the Bills fans, even though it was a great, great win and it's so exciting, they're not out of the weeds yet in terms of making the playoffs. They have the hardest stretch of games still coming. You go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a huge win with Duck Hodges today. We could talk about that.
That's
the
a good
Bills
thing.
host the Ravens, Steelers, Patriots in their next 3 games. So if they can lose their next 3 games, and they might need to beat a New York Jets team that is mercurial. The Jets are a division rival. The Jets beat Buffalo last year. I want the Bills to somehow figure out a way to beat the Ravens and secure a playoff berth. But Thursday was a must-win game. Josh Allen was spectacular. He is the quarterback of the future. This is real. McDermott's solid. Brandon Beane, the direction of the franchise was validated on Thursday.
And this is a Bills team, 9-3. So you haven't seen the Bills with that record to go away to Dallas, which was really a must-win game. It basically kicked their ass. This was a blowout game. So yeah, the Cowboys got a late touchdown, but that was just window dressing. They blew out and completely destroyed the Cowboys. They out-physicaled them.
Right.
All right. The Cowboys got a good offensive line. They've got a good defensive line. But they ran it down their throats. Josh Allen, he had a 20-yard touchdown run. And you know what? There was the best play of that game for you Bills fans is when Josh Allen fumbled the ball, but then grabbed the ball from the turf and then dove like 3 yards over a whole pile to get a first down. That was a brave, gutty play. When you see your quarterback lead like that, that's something special.
And you know, Brandon Beane got made fun of this. He said Josh Allen is made for Buffalo. And what he was alluding to is at the time, Josh Rosen was the sexy name to select because Josh Rosen has a good throwing motion, was accurate at UCLA at times. And Josh Allen was a guy at Wyoming that didn't have impressive statistics. But Brandon Beane said that Josh Allen's personality fits Buffalo, and the Buffalo fans are like, we don't care, because they're thinking that line means almost nothing because you want just a good quarterback. You don't care about the personality. But Josh Allen, with that sneak and getting the ball back, he truly resembles Buffalo, where Josh Rosen has flopped everywhere he's been. So that decision to select the right Josh in Josh Allen is just proving to be absolutely perfect. And he's had up and down games this year. And Brian Daboll, I think I should do a whole video about Buffalo, but their play caller, you saw how oftentimes against the Eagles when they would lose games against the Browns, how their play caller would not call running plays. Brian Daboll had a game for the ages in terms of Brian Daboll
sure
to
did.
Buffalo. He had his best game by
the
far.
way, he also had a lot of misdirection, trap plays, sweeps, and also trick plays. So obviously the Bills had this Cowboys game circled because they prepared for this game for weeks. And you could tell when you saw the game plan, it was different. They were switching things up. Also, the defense, they were calling some innovative blitzes. Sean McDermott is a defensive coach, a former defensive coordinator. They had their biggest game. So I agree with you. I am bullish on the Bills. What else did you see today?
Let's talk about the premier game that was buried at the 1 o'clock hour. What are your thoughts? What did you learn from the Ravens being able to squeak out a 20-17 win over the 49ers? What did you learn about
what
those
I
two
learned
teams?
is that I think these two teams will be meeting in the Super Bowl. These are the two best teams. The Ravens are a gritty team. So what I learned that the Ravens could blow people out. But what I didn't know is they could go toe-to-toe and win a game at the buzzer. So that showed me John Harbaugh, who I always thought was the better Harbaugh, a really good coach, a very good fan base in Baltimore, very loyal fan base. Weather was poor. Everybody showed up. Very loud stadium. And just a premier game, back and forth. What I learned is the Ravens are clutch. When I see a team win a close game, I certainly learned something from it. How about yourself? What did you learn from that game?
I learned absolutely nothing in that game. I thought the game was decently entertaining. It was a cold game. The 49ers defense played really well. I thought the 49ers actually outperformed their expectations. The 49ers were coming off of that game against Green Bay. Great emotional home win. They had to travel 1 o'clock. And the way that they fought admirably, they had a 4th down play that got deflected. If they got that 4th down, they would have tried a field goal themselves. Robbie Gould misses a field goal. It's a game that is a scrappy game in the rain, 2 good teams playing. And for the 49ers, they could move on, and they didn't need to have it.
It wasn't a must-win game.
The Saints game next week is going to be an absolute war, and that'll be the game that they need, because I do think that if the 49ers don't get home field, there might be some concern. But the 49ers are still my Super Bowl prediction. I'm actually taking Patriots going to the Super Bowl. But let's talk about the rest of the games. We'll wrap up. Browns, I think Freddie Kitchens, I still think his job is safe. This is his first year in the league. Steelers played great defensively, and Ducky Hodges hit some big-time throws.
Ducky Hodges, the best nickname in the league, Ducky Hodges. Tell all these fans, so firstly, a little station break. We are Rover Sports on Wednesday night. If you get the TuneIn radio app, Wednesday nights from 7 to 8, we're here in Philly, ESPN Radio, and we're located here in our studio right here.
6:10 a.m., but you
6:10 a.m. dial. It used to be the home of the Eagles, and now it's a secondary station, but still a great place to be on. For all you guys from all over the globe, you could get the TuneIn Radio app and listen to Rover Sports 7 to 8. Also on Tuesday night, I know that you're actually playing a football game. Is that right?
Yes.
But normally we have a really good, and everybody subscribe to the Rover Sports YouTube page. That's very important.
Yes,
so that's our station break.
Yes.
There are some games today that were blowouts and some bad games.
Well, we were talking about the Steelers. We were talking about Ducky Hodges.
Ducky Hodges.
Duck Hodges made himself a lot of money today. And it was honestly fantastic to see him come into the game and have a spark. And the Steelers' defense is for real. And I think that there's a chance that the Steelers can go at least 10-6. I think that they're going to be a wild card team. I think it's Buffalo and the Steelers that are going to be the wild card teams. I'm not buying the Titans just yet. I'm not buying Tennessee just yet. But it was a great win for the Steelers. I'd give Freddie another year. I think that you talk about coaches. Let's talk about coaches who should be fired. I think Ron Rivera losing when you're up 14-0 to the Washington Redskins, and I know that Chuck Schartz is a big fan. Chucky Schartz.
Chucky Schartz.
Chucky Schartz is a huge fan of the Washington Redskins. And
they had a win
and
today.
I'll tell you, the Redskins came out. They ran all over the Panthers. Kyle Allen threw a bad interception, but Kyle Allen also had no protection. This Panthers team's bad. They quit on their coach. They're mentally soft. And Ron Rivera's time. The ownership wants to be gone. Rivera is completely gone. I'll tell you a guy that's completely gone as well. A guy that was debated last year. When you're down 25-0, it is a dumpster fire in Jacksonville. It's a bad franchise in terms of their.
Doug Marrone is
they
done.
just have no franchise culture there. They really haven't had prolonged success ever since Tom Coughlin was coaching way back 20 years ago. And Marrone is absolutely gone. Doug Marrone is gone.
Right.
He is an embarrassment. And then Nick Foles' contract just looks worse and worse.
Here's a question.
What?
Nick Foles came into Philly and was the magic man. He ran the RPO. He led the Eagles to a Super Bowl victory 2 years ago against Tom Brady and scored in the 50s. And then, again, you couldn't draft 2 quarterbacks. And people are asking about Wentz. You can't have Wentz and Foles and pay both of them $30+ million. What's going wrong in Jacksonville? What's wrong with Nick Foles?
What's wrong with Nick Foles that he's not really a mobile quarterback. I think that Nick Foles, I'd have to watch. The offensive line's not really getting a push. Nick Foles has been hurt all year long. And you've also seen the emergence of a special player who is younger, cheaper, That locker room's very confused because Nick Foles is very injury-prone quarterback. He's always hurt every single year. Injuries have derailed his career. Whether it was when in Philly, he broke his collarbone. When he was with the Rams, he didn't play. When he was with Kansas City, so he's not used to the grind.
His collarbone
he's not
this
used
year.
to the grind of a 16-game season. He's the most immobile quarterback in the NFL. He's a statue back there. And against pass rushers, when you're a statue pocket passer, you're going to be at the risk. Gardner Minshew's a faster, more athletic guy. Nick Foles is not an athlete. He's not athletic at all. And I think it's important to have some functional mobility. And that's what Nick Foles does not have. Nick Foles is a relief pitcher. He is not a franchise quarterback. He's a relief pitcher. He's Jeff Hostetler. He's Doug Williams. He's a backup quarterback that is capable of winning a championship in the Super Bowl. You've seen
So he
Flacco.
caught lightning in a bottle.
He's Jake
And
Delhomme.
they made an analogy. Great comment from one of our listeners. Great comment. He is Doug Ripien. He's Mark Ripien. He's Doug Williams.
Yeah.
That's from your friend who's a Redskins fan.
Yeah.
And he had 1 year, and certainly he'll be immortalized here. He is, in fact, and he'll never pay for a drink in Philly again. But you know what? You go to a different team. If you're from the Rams, no success. You go to the Jags, no success. Cinderella, the clock struck midnight. You need a golden slipper, and it doesn't. It looks like Gardner Minshew, I should say, is the future in Jacksonville. Go through the.
Let's talk about
Jameis.
Let's talk about Jameis Winston versus Derek Carr. This debate because
this is a very active debate. What do you guys think? Jameis Winston
let's
versus
see the
Derek
comments.
Carr.
I want to see Jameis or Carr. Who would you take today to lead your team? And I would take, and this is very tough. I would actually take Jameis Winston over Derek Carr. And I just think that Jameis Winston, there's something special about Winston. There's something special about the guy. He's won championships.
Duly noted.
He's won championships in college. He has a bigger arm. But Derek Carr and the Raiders, they've lost 70-3 in these last few games. I know they're supposed to be ahead of schedule, but this is so disappointing. Against your arch rival, you are not even close to beating this team. They've played you 4 times. They've mopped you up. How disappointing is it for the Oakland Raiders?
I think it's very disappointing.
It's brutal.
And the thing about the Raiders and Derek Carr is when he throws a deuce at you, when he craps out, he's terrible, and they get blown out. So he's definitely susceptible to the blowout. Not only that, when you go to outside games, all right, in the winter, and obviously we're headed towards December, Derek Carr is notoriously bad. He doesn't throw the ball well in the wind. He doesn't have a strong arm, and he always fades down the stretch. So I go with Winston. I think he's got a stronger arm. I think Carr, he's probably going to be a head coach someday. From a personality standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, Derek Carr is a great leader, strong personality. Him and Gruden are highly, exceptionally intelligent. But when it comes to the physicality of winning in the last part of the year, you're going to Kansas City where it is cold, it is windy, it's not freezing. It's not like you're outdoors in New England or Buffalo. But you know what? So in my opinion, and again, I predicted that he would do poorly in the wind, and he would do poorly today, and he did, in fact. So my feeling is you want to sell Carr, you don't want to be buying it. And early in the year, when he's at home and he's in California, and they have something to play for, obviously I take Carr, but I'll take Winston for those reasons outlined.
I think it's really a changing of the guard in the AFC South. I mean, the Tennessee Titans winning today with Ryan Tannehill playing good football, with the special teams executing, with the pass rush getting there. And we have a lot of people that are Tennessee Titans fans.
A lot of good comments.
Tennessee
People are
Vols
saying,
fans.
tighten up, baby, tighten up.
A lot of Tennessee fans. It's always been a good fan base. I doubted the Titans. I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, this was a step that I did not see the Tennessee Titans having the ability to make, is going to Indy and getting a win like this. But they still have tricky games. They have Houston twice with a better quarterback, a team that historically has beaten them at home. And then the Titans also head out to Oakland. So I'm just going to believe it when I see it with this team. I don't think that they're going to do it. I hope I am wrong. But this today, I have to give the Titans credit for this day. This was a huge win. This was a huge win for Mike Vrabel. Absolutely huge win. This AFC South is still possible. Tannehill is a talented player. And this is a rebirth and a revival for Tannehill. And if he can be suitable with Jeffrey Simmons coming back next year, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, one of the biggest days in Titans history, I think, was today. I could say that. This is probably a top 10 win in Titans, maybe in the history of their franchise, was going to Indy today, getting a win. Because I can't remember the time since McNair and since way back in the Fisher era that you had games like today. So,
agreed. So there's some questions.
It was a hell of a win. Hell of a win.
So tonight you've got the Patriots going into Houston tonight.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will be watching. We might do a little watch party. Sometimes we'll just jump on for a quarter, and you'll hear Spency do play-by-play, and I'll jump in and do some color, and just to liven it up. We're not big Patriots fans here in Philly, and we respect the hell out of them. But certainly Tom Brady's had his ups and downs, and he had some downs against the Eagles. He only had 3 field goals in the first half against the Eagles, though drove down the field for that touchdown to begin the third quarter. And the question is, do the Texans have a chance at home in their Super Bowl against the dreaded Patriots? What are your thoughts? Break down the game.
I think that the Texans are going to win the game because the Texans, you have DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. You also have, I think, Fuller, who's healthier. You have Kenny Stills. You have guys like that can make plays. Their tight end can make plays. Deshaun Watson, his deep ball accuracy. People said he can't throw a deep ball. He is a great deep ball thrower. In terms of Duke Johnson running the football, I think that they'll be able to do that. In terms of the Patriots, I think Sanu is still out. Edelman might be banged up. I just think that with the crowd, I think that the Texans will score enough points. And it's going to be Stephon Gilmore versus DeAndre Hopkins tonight, which is going to be an incredible matchup at cornerback. But I just think that the Patriots offense is going to struggle tonight. I think that the Patriots offense is not going to put up enough points to hang with Watson. And I think that Crennel can come up with a game plan defensively. I still think the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, but you're not unblemished in the season. And this is it's not a trap game. It's a flat-out difficult ask to go to Houston on Sunday night.
Certainly Garrett is a big Titans fan, and we've got a lot of Titans people, and it's a great town. I love Nashville.
It is.
And we were there earlier in the year, and we usually try to get there at least once or twice a year. So Nashville's a great place. You want to see a good video, look at the Kid Rock video, and he just got really drunk and had some fun. So
that
really
might have offended a good group of our listeners.
You might offend our listeners, but you know what?
You might offend our listeners.
Doesn't matter. We're not offended easily. When guys get drunk and just go off, that's what we do here at Rover Sports. We get drunk and we go off, don't we? That's what we do.
I hopefully will not go off like Kid Rock and offend probably the population.
Offended half the population. In fact, Kid Rock actually got kicked out of the bar. So you know what's hard to do?
I met Garrett at the draft.
You know what's hard to do?
What?
If you're in Nashville and you're at a bar and you're just sitting in your Kid Rock, is it hard to get the cane, to have somebody just cane you out of bar? It's out of your own bar, and just to get caned. That's how drunk he was. And it's just a crazy YouTube video.
It was crazy. What do you think about Texans at Patriots? What do you think? You think that the Texans have a chance tonight?
Unfortunately, I don't. I think that the Patriots on national TV are almost flawless. They almost don't lose. The nation's eyes are upon them. Tom Brady is going to make a statement that he's going to play not like a 42-year-old, but more like a 22-year-old. And Belichick's had some time, a little bit more time to prepare. And obviously, some of the injured players like J.J. Watt, who's done for the year,
right.
He will be missed. Clowney obviously doesn't play there anymore. Those bookends will be missed. So I think there will be a raucous crowd in Houston, but I do believe the Patriots will win by a touchdown, and that's my prediction in this game.
What do you think about Chase Young for the Giants? Is there any way that Shermer could get fired tomorrow? Is there any way?
No, I don't think that Tisch and Mara are going to fire a coach in season. They haven't done it. They ride with coaches. They like Shermer. I think they're dealing with a lot of injuries. The wide receivers, kind of a rebuilding year. And I think Shermer, if they keep losing, will be fired at the end of the year. But I don't think it's like the Giants to fire a coach in season. I just don't think that's what they do. How about yourself? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the DC maybe can go, but I know. It's just, it's the wrong team. It's the wrong coaching staff. It's another really disappointing year. I mean, today you had a chance. At points they're close, but it is pretty ridiculous.
What do you think of the Browns losing? What do you think about Freddie Kitchens? Is he on the hot seat or does he get another year?
I don't think he should at all. I mean, when you look at guys like Doug Marrone who get multiple years, Dan Quinn having a terrible year, but Dan Quinn's had success. But there's coaches. Ron Rivera has a losing record. Jay Gruden has gotten time. This was a tough ask to go to Pittsburgh to play one of the best defenses in the NFL, with Timmons on that defensive line, with guys like Devin Bush.
A lot of revenge. It's a divisional game. These teams hate each other. Let's face it. Browns and Steelers, this is a great rivalry going back 70 years. So it's always fun to watch that.
It is a great defense.
And Ducky, and what's his last name? Ducky Hodges. Ducky Hodges, certainly a star is born today. And Roethlisberger's out for the rest of the year. And Ducky Hodges actually surprised me with a pretty good arm and some good throws in that game.
He did. Now, the thing is for Duck is that no matter what he does, even if he leads them to the playoffs, it's still going to be Ben's team next year. And,
that's true. But Ben has only got a few more years. Could Ducky be the player? Could he be the QB of the future? Don't know.
But here's the thing.
He doesn't have a lot of size. He's 6'1".
He doesn't
medium
have
arm,
incredible talent. He's just a cagey, tough guy.
But he's just a winner. Sometimes you're just a winner.
And the thing is, you're paying him really cheap. You're paying him cheap.
He's on a rookie deal.
But the thing is,
so you're playing with house money. So keep Ducky.
If Big Ben, the thing is for Big Ben, is that if Ducky can win a playoff game, if he steps up big in a playoff environment, then you'll start to have that conversation. But I don't believe that Duck is good. And I'm the biggest Duck Hodge fan you're going to find. I don't believe that Duck is going to be good enough this year. Even if they make the playoffs but lose in the first round, they're still going to take Big Ben next year. And I don't think he's the QB of the future because it would stunt his growth in an unimaginable. It would really stunt his growth if he takes the time off.
React to the comment. Big Ben is a
wash. Is this year's MVP.
We love Drew Lock as much as we like. He's great.
I think that he could be. I think he could be really, really special.
Now, talk about his dad.
I said that his upside is fantastic. His floor. I think he's a big risk. I think he's high reward, kind of a big risk.
But you saw
for John Elway.
But we saw Drew Lock. Drew Lock has a huge arm. We saw his highlights. If you want to see some Drew Lock, do some college highlights from Missouri. You really look good. You were really bullish on Drew Lock. He comes from a good pedigree. He's got a great father. You've interviewed not only Drew, but you interviewed his dad. Tell us about the family.
Great family.
What is his dad like?
Salt of the earth, Andy Locke, and you saw him at the game.
Tell about Andy Locke.
They're from Fort Summit, Missouri, outside of Kansas City, and or might be outside of St. Louis. But the thing is about Drew Lock is that he just has a huge arm. He has that quick release. Like he could get from point A to point B and the ball's out. He's really talented in terms of how he can throw the football. Now at Missouri, now you're seeing Barry Odom got fired, but he wouldn't win every single game. There's times when he'll stare down one read. He'll make some poor decisions with the football. Sometimes he doesn't sense pressure all that well. And he's inconsistent. He's hot. He was hot and cold, but when it was good, it was as good as anything. Now he's playing in the NFL. I think that Locke is definitely capable of being a guy that could play on your franchise for 10, 15 years. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the elite of the elite. He has that potential. I'm not going to say that because I've seen him be up and down, but today was a very nice start. He has the right head on his shoulders. He's a very mature kid. His family's great, and he has that confidence, and this team loves him.
What's Andy Locke like? You interviewed his dad.
Andy Locke
give us some specific.
Is
he a football player? Is he a coach?
Not as crazy or outgoing as Drew. I think that Drew Lock has a ton of swagger. I think that Drew Lock is very mellow. I think that he has the personality to be a superstar because he knows that he's modest. He's a good, humble kid, nice kid. But Drew Lock also has that swagger and confidence that you need, and he's a guy that loves to talk. He loves the limelight, and that's something that you need. But Andy Locke is very mellow. He's not really a coach, but he's just a supportive dad. I think that he's just very, I don't know, dry, normal guy. I think
So I'll give you a sports
a
medicine
good guy,
update.
just a good guy.
So I am a sports doctor. That's what they call me, sports doc. That's what I do. And I can tell you that Drew Lock had a partially torn thumb extensor. He was treated very well. He wore a splint. He's fully healed now. And he looked like he was rifling the ball, didn't show any adverse effects. So by putting him on this kind of partial IR, that's what they put him on, and he missed 9 games, he did have a chance to really study, watch and learn. And he came in today and he was really prepared as a starter. And you know what? He had he was really juiced up, but his nerves did not get the best of him. And he won a close game. And you could say certainly that the Broncos kind of won a cheapie. They got a pass interference call at the end, and I think it's a cheap call. You don't make that call on a Hail Mary, which essentially that is with the time running out. You need something more definitive than that. But you know what? They won the game. Drew Lock is 1-0 as a starter, and certainly a nice guy, a strong arm, and a star is born today. There are also some games today. There's a game with Kyler Murray in Arizona, and this is one of those teams when Arizona goes bad, they go really bad. Talk about that game.
Inconsistent team. They had the bye week, soft culture. I'm not as disappointed, honestly, because the Rams, you caught the Rams off of such an embarrassing loss. McVay is a tremendous coach. And for McVay to recover from the Monday Night Massacre, which it was in LA, for them to get refocused, be professional. The Rams are like what? They're like 7-5, or they're like 6-6. So they're still
kind of
in
the
the
outside.
wild card.
They're in the wild card race.
In it. And for Jared Goff today, 430 yards. I'm excited to rewatch that game because I couldn't really see that.
You're also going to do it. We'll probably do a Kyler Murray breakdown. We want to see. Obviously, his mechanics had to be broken down in this game. There's no way.
Maybe
we
he
didn't
was
see the
getting
game. We didn't see the game
He
live.
might not have gotten.
We'll
a
watch
lot of
it. We'll watch the tape.
Also, just a terrible game from a guy that is an awful coach and an awful hire. And the New York Jets going to Cincinnati, and they just didn't show up today. I mean, I think Andy Dalton.
Adam
helped.
Gase. So you're alluding to Adam Gase.
Adam Gase.
Speak to Adam Gase. What do you think about him?
Goals. Sam Darnold seeing
Was
goals.
Sam Donald seeing goals to get today?
You're
He was
seeing that
goals.
Josh Allen is the better quarterback than Sam Darnold. You're seeing Baker Mayfield's better. It's Sam Darnold. This offense not explosive. This defense, they don't play for this guy. This guy's not a good guy. I don't think they like this guy. There's
Bad
evidence
guy.
of him being
He's a weird guy.
Mean guy.
Gase is a mean guy. He's a
Mean
weird.
guy.
He's a weird guy.
Mean guy, bad guy. And they didn't show up today. And after the consistency, after getting a win,
Good
versus
comment, Garrett Sanders.
After getting
Thank
for
you.
beating
We've
Oakland.
got 30 viewers at all times here on YouTube.
great.
We are Rover Sports.
So
we are
thankful.
based in Philly, ESPN. I'm Sports Doc. That's
So
obviously Spencer G.
thankful.
Most people call you Rover
Yep.
because you're the lead dog on the Rover.
Yes.
And we just came back from the beautiful, fabulous Springfield Healthplex, and let's continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I actually wanted to conclude the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. This was a long stream, so I don't know how many people are going to come back. I hope people do. There were some strong
Well,
opinions in here.
It's a 40-minute stream. We rolled through. A
but
lot
we
to talk about.
recapped everything. There was so much today. There was so much impressive stuff. There were a lot of floppers. It's that point in the season where it's make or break, and I mean, every game had implications for the future, which it was fantastic. It was fantastic. There was so much stuff that went down the day. There's so many coaches that might have lost their jobs, and that sounds really harsh. And there's so many teams that also stepped up to the occasion and presented themselves well. So, anyway, I'm Rover Sports, and you're Bruce
I'm
Sports.
Sports Doc, as we always say.
Take us out.
I'm going to take us out. You guys are great. I want to say good night and good sports.
Thank you guys so much. You guys were awesome. Thank you guys.